Hi, everyone, and welcome to another 4D Method 4D user group. Today is September 17th, 2025. This is meeting number 81. In this meeting today, we're going to talk a little bit again for the 81st time about 4D Method and what we do here. We're going to look at the schedule for upcoming user group presentations. We'll get a little bit of news from the happy hour with Kirk Brooks. 4D happy hour, that is. um, and we'll talk to Jim Sobchak about the news from 4D, the company itself. And I'll review some recent 4D blog highlights, of which there have been many and many interesting articles and content coming out there as usual, but especially this summer. We'll have Ad review a couple recent tech notes from the knowledge base, and then we'll get to the good stuff with the presentation Cron. It's about time from Koichi Harada. So my name is Brent Raymond. I organize the 4D Method 4D user group with the website 4dmethod.com, and you can reach me at 4dmethod@gmail.com. I have been doing 4D for a while. I'm a full-time 4D developer for the Art Institute of Chicago. And many years ago, we started up this online user group to do things, basically to get to know where 4D is out in the world. It's always surprisingly right underneath your feet and around the corner. And, if you don't watch out, you might bump your head on it. But in all reality, we're here just to bring together our community and share new programming techniques. And like I said, see where 4D is deployed in the world. What job is it doing in your neighborhood? And especially also to find 4D development support. Everybody that presents here are great 4D developers generally. And if there's something here that you find that your application could use, these are the right people to reach out to. So yeah, what can be done with 4D? So much. And if nothing else, it's a one way to get some great ideas for your own application, your development. So welcome back, everybody. It's been a long summer. We haven't had one of these meetings in a while. I know we've all been out and about and doing interesting things, not just working and traveling, hopefully, and getting some sunshine if you're on the northern hemisphere. I think that's how it works. And Yeah, so we skipped a meeting, I think is what I'm trying to say. But welcome back to the program. So as I mentioned, this is your group. I'd like to see what everyone else is doing. I like to feature other developers and other projects. And upcoming on our schedule, we've got a lot going on November 5th. We welcome back Ricardo Mello to do a part two of his sessions on 4D and AI, titled Bring the Power of LLMs, Large Language Models, to your 4D applications. There is so much going on with 4D and AI right now. It's hard to keep track of. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But if you missed his part one, it's a good one to go back and watch because there's just some really eye-opening things that are immediately available with 4D and AI. So then on January 14th, we'll have Milan Adamov come back to kind of do a part two. This year, he already did a session called Master Action Building with GitHub. He is really a master in that area of things, and he'll come back to talk more about that end of advanced deployment techniques, specifically advanced application signing. And then on March 4th of next year, we'll have a session called B Web the low code 4D component for the web. We'll have Jean-Michel Birachi. He'll be here to tell me I mispronounced his name probably. But yeah, it's just an interesting option for publishing content to the web and working with web applications. Yeah, so we've got, as you can tell, a real full schedule into next year. Um, what about you? I mean, we're getting some great things on the schedule. April 22nd and June 10th are open next year, which means you've got a long time to prepare. That's normally the issue is it's a lot of work to put on one of these demos. It's fun, it's a good crowd, and it's a great way to get your name out there and show everyone what kind of great work that you've been doing. Or I'm also happy to post a recording to a short demo of the work that you've been doing, just in case you want to sneak into the middle of the schedule or just get some exposure on the 4DMethod website. It's all about your work. I like to highlight what's happening, what our community members are doing, and yeah, it's a lot of exciting stuff. So check out the 4dmethod.com schedule. It's always being updated, and not only that, it's not just forward looking, but all of the 80 other presentations now are also listed on there. So it's worth perusing. Yeah, so in our meeting a couple of months ago and change, I think, I don't know, it's been a little while. I mentioned that my colleague, longtime colleague here at the Art Institute of Chicago, Edgar Hammond, was retiring. It's a good place to work and a good place to work up until retirement. I also mentioned that his position was open, and I say was because we have had a long search over the summer. Thanks to everybody who applied. We had almost, I think it's 490. We had almost 500 applicants overall. That's a lot of resumes. We had some really great, terrific 4D talent out there came, and I talked with a lot of people, and I really appreciate everyone's patience with the process. It's not something I normally do, so it not only takes time, but as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot going on in the summer, especially at the museum where you get a lot of vacation. So
Hey,
it's
Brent, were all those applications from people in North America, or that's the whole world? The 500 came from the whole world.
we had plenty of international applicants as well.
Okay.
Yeah, even though I tried to specify that according to the rules at the museum, we unfortunately weren't allowed to hire internationally. It wasn't because of any bias otherwise. Unfortunately, there's rules. But yeah, so yeah, and I'm happy to say I feel like we came up with a really, really great person for the job. I'd like to introduce Greg Loya. I know that not all of us are sticking our head up constantly and blathering on in 4DMethod meetings. He may be new to some of you. But he's actually here in the meeting today, and I'm just real excited about getting him in. He's had a very long experience with 4D, and yeah, I don't know. Let me hand it off to Greg just to say hello, and I'm sure you'll be seeing more of him. Not that he has to do this, but
Now, thank you, Brent. I really thank you, and thanks for everyone to welcoming me to the group. Kind of my inaugural joining the session here, but thanks to Brent for all his work with the user group, and certainly for being instrumental in the whole process with the posting and the going through the position for the Art Institute of Chicago. I'm really grateful for everything he did. And also, I'll say it for kind of pulling me, dragging me out of the shadows, because he's right. I've been a long time working in 4D over 25 years, and I'll be honest, I've been pretty quiet in the community. I've worked as a consultant, a lot of the work through a company called Objective Systems, as well as my own company, and worked for various organizations. But you may have met me. I've attended a few summits in my time, but not as many as probably most of you have. For those of you who don't know me, I look forward to actually getting to know each of you. And I just want to share my availability. I'm really approachable and available for anything you might want to bounce ideas off. And honestly, you'll probably have me reaching out to you at some point too, and trying to go through some solutions together. So I'm really excited to be a part of this community and actually start contributing a little bit. There's a lot I know I'm going to learn from each of you, and this first session, I'm excited about the opportunity to do something that's see something that's so core to everything we do, the cron processes and how that all works. So once again, just thank you everyone for greeting me and welcoming me, and thanks to Brent again. And also, I don't think Edgar's on, of course, but I didn't know him directly, but I want to acknowledge that all the good work that he did, and I'm sure I have some pretty big shoes to fill. So looking forward to that.
Oh, thanks, Greg. And we're real excited to have Greg at the museum, and I'm sure you'll be hearing more from him. And thanks again with everybody who applied to the job, and for everyone's patience with us working through it. So yeah, all right. So on to Kirk Brooks from E4D, Everything 4D, and who also organizes the 4D Happy Hour. He's here to just share a little bit about what's been going on in the happy hour recently.
Thanks a lot, Brent. And it's as always, I appreciate this opportunity to make a little shout out. I guess one of the things that I want to point out is I inadvertently clobbered the link that was published everywhere to 4D Happy Hour a few weeks ago, and I have I'll post this new information. The link is always correct from the website. And then this is the new link. And I'm not going to go into how I managed to do that. I think anybody who's used Zoom long enough knows that sometimes it's just easy to hork something up without even realizing you did it, and I did it. So anyway, with that resolved, it's 4D Happy Hour has been a little quiet. A lot of folks are on vacation, but they're starting to come back now. We've been having a lot of discussions about Codely, a lot of discussions about AI. It was really, and just to reiterate, anybody who has actually built something in Codely and would like to come show it off, or just kind of talk about your experience, how it's working, would love to hear about that. Because it's tough to find somebody who's actually done something. Robert Mussman stopped by a couple weeks ago. In fact, he has actually written something in Codely. There were some posts on the forum. He posted a couple of questions. I reached out to him directly and invited him to come by and just talk about it and show it off if he was into it. He was nice enough to do that, and I thought that was kind of instructive and interesting. The AI side, we continue to. I'm interested in AI implementation a lot. I tend to use it a lot in my own work, although yesterday I had just a really frank argument with one of them about why they kept changing things when I explicitly told them not to. So, that you'll get all sides of that discussion going on there. But I do think that it's worth continuing to keep an eye on understanding what it does, what it doesn't do, and how it's going to be applied later on. Because I don't think there is a tremendous amount of understanding on the business side at this point about exactly what a good AI application is and what it isn't. And we're a place we can talk about it. Even better is, pardon me, folks have just been stopping by with some real practical stuff. And, and this is really one of the things that we love doing more than anything else is for somebody to say, hey, you want to take a look at this and tell me what you think is going on because I can't fill in the blank. And those are just fun to do. So, and a couple of things about 4D happy hour. For example, we don't record our sessions or, record the transcripts. And part of the reason we do that is to make it a really easy way to come and just share things that, you may not want recorded forever in posterity, but you just want to kind of talk about with some people and see what other folks have to say. 40 hours, the place to come and do that. Everybody is welcome. For anyone who hasn't been there, I hope you'll just stop by again sometime soon and chime in and see what we're talking about.
Yeah, and people should come and experience at least once group 4D debugging. This is a fun thing, and a matter of fact, I'm not sure we've ever had a situation where we had a problem and we started debugging it, and the 4 or 5 or 6 or 8 people, at the happy hour meeting, and we come up with an answer, and
It's a,
we get a fix for it. So there's value in this group debugging thing when you've got 4 or 5 people, looking at it. Well, try this, try that. Well, how about this? Well, I remember that. You can get an answer pretty quick. So that's why I come to the happy hours is to fix. If I have issues, I'll present them, and I've always got a fix from it. And I love helping other people fix their problems. And you always learn something new when you fix a problem like that.
Well, thanks, Tim. Yeah, I know there's one guy on here who comes in with like some really, really challenging stuff. And we may not always come up with the solution, but I think we always manage to give somebody some useful ideas to go and work on and research further. And it's true. And generally it's really fun. And I don't think and it's casual. It's low stress. It's not like anybody's going to be judging you and just kind of rolling their eyes and going, "Oh, Jesus, you're asking that." Never happens. Never happens. Simply because, you know what, like Tim said, everybody always sees something they've never seen before there. I think that has happened almost probably every meeting. Somebody will go, "Huh, I didn't know you can do that."
And
And
there's
that's
web experts. There's 4D web server experts. There's web experts. There's JavaScript experts. There's Mac 40 experts. There's not as many Windows 40 experts, but there's a few hanging around there. But there's a lot of different people, a lot of different expertise, and that's how you get these answers quickly because you're coming from different directions. Whereas when you debug something, you're doing it one direction. That's the only direction you know is the way you're going. But to have other people come in, they'll see things and you can get a quick resolution. So very useful for fixing and finding how to resolve 40 issues, 40 happy hour.
I I am not paying Tim to say this, so I just want you to know.
Well, it's
Anyway,
yeah, it's clear that there's a wealth of 4D talent clearly on display and available at these 4D happy hours. And thanks to Kirk for the idea and for continuing to host them and make them available and helping to solve everybody's bugs live and on the scene. So thanks again, guys.
And
Um,
you'll also get to see examples of Kirk and others using AI 4D programming to solve problems too. Because the AI is always involved and somebody's asking AI, how do you fix this? And believe it or not, AI is getting pretty smart about 4D nowadays. Six
uh,
months
as
ago, it was not near as intelligent, and now it can give you good 4D code results. The AI engines now can give you that. Not always perfect, but boy, get you 90% or there with just a few tweaks and you've got code that works.
Yeah, there's a lot of exciting things happening with AI for sure, and they're happening fast. So if there's some of us who are jumping in feet first, and I think you'll find them at the happy hour. So if you're interested in in either tinkering or learning, how people are using it, that kind of thing, it's a good place to do it. So, all right. Well, thanks, guys. All right, now over to Jim at 4D to highlight a few things from 4D and 4D news.
Great. Thank you, Brent, for inviting Ad and me and Ricardo in the near future to participate in this month's meeting. Just a quick note about AI. Last night, we have a worldwide sales meeting for the global 4D group once a month, and it happened to be last night. And during that meeting, or at the very end, the marketing team showed a presentation of Olivier Deschanel, who most of you know. He's a big trainer at 4D and one of the gurus at 4D. Great guy. And in the AI of the brief webinar they showed, Olivier is speaking German, which he doesn't speak German, but AI allowed him to speak German, do the presentation in German. And the amazing part was the lip movement was completely synchronized with the text. And I've never seen it. I was just completely blown away how they could do that. And apparently they can do it in 5 languages, and it's something we're looking at for doing our trainings in the future. So that's just an aside. Yeah. So yeah, thanks, Brent. It's always a great opportunity for us to touch base here with the worldwide 4D community, see what everyone's up to. And thanks, Kirk, about the 4D happy hour. It sounds like things are going there great. And congratulations to the Art Institute and to Greg, especially for your new position at the Art Institute of Chicago there. I've worked with Greg in the past. I worked with him when he was at Objective Systems, and I'm sure he'll add a wealth of 4D knowledge to the development team there at the Art Institute. So I think that was a great hire. It's amazing you had 40 applicants for 500
Yeah, right.
applicants for the
Yeah.
position. This is
40 a day, I think.
yeah, it sounds like a full-time job for you, Brent.
Man,
Yeah,
don't like to do that, and it doesn't happen too often. So it's yeah, we're lucky to get a good person in and keep them generally.
yeah.
So
I think you made a great move there. I think it's a testament to the standing of the Art Institute in the 4D community. So many people applied for that job, so it's great. Um, and like everyone else, we're looking forward to Koichi's presentation on his Cron component. I haven't heard from Koichi in a while, so this should be really interesting to see what he's up to. Yeah, so that's coming up. I wanted to bring your attention today to some upcoming webinars. I'm sure that you've all noticed that we're making a big push on free training webinars tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Will and Ad are back with the feature release webinar on 4020 R10. And if you've been following the blog post, you know there's a lot of new features in R10 to cover. So please try to attend if you can. I think it's about a 90-minute webinar, a little bit longer than usual because we have so much to cover. And we'll record it as well if you can't be there, but it's great if you can make it and get your questions in the Q&A session there. And the feature releases are coming like clockwork with a new release every 3 months, pretty much on the day. So that continues to go well. The release of 4020 R10 is planned for early October. We have a date, but right now it looks like early October, which also means that the beta version of 4020 R11, also known as 4021, will be coming in October as well. So we're planning to release the beta of 4021 in mid-October, and we're all looking forward to that. All these features that you've been seeing in 4020 R releases will be in, of course, 4021. And we're all familiar with those features now. They've been tested, so it should be a great release for us. And back to webinars. And next Thursday, I think it is, the 24th of September, Vanessa Talbot, who's really active on the 4D blog site, will present on customizing your 4D form with CSS. And this is the third webinar in a series that we started earlier this year with Thomas Mall's presentation on strict typing in 4D. And then after that, it was Roland Lanuzel's presentation on 4D Write Pro. And this is the third in that series. So it should be interesting. We'll continue to do these throughout the end of this year and into next year as well. And finally, a webinar that we haven't announced yet, but sometime before the end of the year, Matthew Ferry will do a presentation on 4D and AI. If you haven't had a chance to see his presentations on AI, they're very informative. He's very efficient, very knowledgeable about the subject, and his presentations are really well presented. So stay tuned for the date of that. All I know right now is it'll be before the end of the year. So we'll look forward to that. And then finally, I wanted to thank all of you who downloaded the free 40 Right Pro training bundle. We had several hundred downloads, which is pretty amazing. Because it was free, and we used to charge for this training, and now we just kind of gave away 3 of the trainings. We were expecting a lot of downloads, but not hundreds like we got. Hopefully, those trainings will spark an interest in either initiating or expanding your use of 4D Right Pro in your application. There's a lot there, especially with the AI features that are in 4D Right Pro now. So we're interested in your feedback, and you can probably expect a call from your account manager or an email from your account manager asking you how the training is going to see if they're what you thought of it, and just to generally get your feedback. So, but thank you for the downloads. I know a lot of you haven't had time to actually view those trainings, at least the people I've talked to. So there's plenty of time, and I'm just glad you were able to take advantage of that. So I think that's all for me, Brent. I just wanted to point out that we're making a big push on free trainings, free webinars, and getting all the 40 knowledge out there that we can get to you folks in anticipation of the release of 4021. So
Well,
thank you.
thank you.
I have a question, Jim.
Yes.
So October 20R11 is coming in October.
It won't be called R11. It's 4021.
It'll be called 21
Yeah.
beta in that. So that means that 21 will be coming out sometime in January, beginning of next year.
That's our plan, right?
And any news on a 40 Summit in 26? Is that still kind of planned?
No news on that, Tim, right now. We've been so busy with the release of 4021 and integrating with Volaris that we haven't really talked too much about a summit in 2026 if we do it, or if I'm not saying we're not, or we will, but it'll be towards the end of the year for sure. We were looking at October last year, but that didn't happen. So I'm sure we'll have plenty of advance notice for you guys. You're not the first to ask, so thank you for bringing it up. I just don't have any information about it yet.
You're saying Summit may not be beginning of 26, but maybe end of 26?
It will not be the beginning of 2026 because we haven't started preparing for it yet.
Okay.
I assume that it will be another international summit like we were planning, but I don't know that either. So let's just wait until we hear more from our marketing team on that event. Yeah. So
Great.
sorry, I can't give you more information about that.
Just from the chat, while I've got you here, Jim,
Yep.
got a question. What video recorder app is 40 using that that does the real-time translation to German?
That's a good question. I don't know. I just saw it last night for the very first time. But it was pretty darn impressive. But I can find out. And who asked the question, Brent?
Jeremy French.
Oh, Jeremy. I can ask
Yeah.
and find out for you.
And just a part 2 of that question to find out, can it be used at Oktoberfest?
Great idea.
Yeah.
Great idea. But yeah, it was just wild because Olivier is such a great guy, and his English is good. He's a native French speaker, of course, but to see him speaking in German, which he doesn't speak, was just blown away. We had 2 people from 40 Germany in the meeting, and they were cracking up. They were just couldn't believe him speaking German, so it was pretty funny.
Hopefully it was proper Deutsch.
Yeah, it was. I think it
Yeah.
was. I don't know. I don't speak German myself, so
Yeah. One other question from Guy in the chat.
yeah,
The current slide says there's 3 dates for the for Vanessa's webinar.
yeah. You want the September 24th, 8:30 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time.
Okay.
Those the 3 dates. Oh yeah. So we've got English for North America and Europe. That's the 24th, and then we have the 25th for France. But you're right. There's 3 dates, but only 2 are listed.
And one is secret.
Um,
Yeah.
One is secret. I don't know what the other one is, but the one we all want to go to is the 24th at 10 a.m. When I say we, I mean 40 Inc. I know there's people here from the international community, so that would probably be the 25th for French. I don't
Yeah.
know.
All right.
I'll get more information on that one. Thanks for pointing that out, Guy.
Well, thanks, Jim, and thanks. We always like to get the inside scoop from 4D from Jim and grill him with a couple of questions about unannounced dates and such things like that. And it's exciting to see that we're moving on to version 21 soon. Boy, if you think about all of the what going on 11, effectively 11 R versions for R20, R20,
Mhm.
well, for version 20. It's just a mountain of features and new functionality and new coding, new ways of doing 4D coding in version 20. It's just yeah, it's a lot to keep up with. I know it's organizing these meetings keeps me on my toes, trying to learn all of the latest features. But yeah, it's like drinking from a fire hose, as they say. So, yep. All right. Well, thanks, Jim. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
And we'll move on to some 40 blog highlights. Again, it's been a big summer. You can see on this slide it's been one after the next blog article about 4D and AI from the 4D vectors, which are super interesting and is probably going to be a huge deal for version 21 and for I know at the museum I can think of all kinds of different applications of vectors within our data set. Vectors are a way of effectively having a mathematical representation of a picture or a set of data where you can perform math on it, where you can have similarity ranks to other pictures without them actually looking the same so much. It's a content measure rather than is this the actually the same picture, actually the same text content. So yeah, it's a good one to start with. Discover the power of 4D vectors. Search by meaning, not metadata. Semantic image filtering with 4D vector. Again, more in that direction. Why your search stack feels broken and how vector search fixes it. So there is a running theme here. It's vectors. And then AI brings magical search to 4D Write Pro documents. Again, it's the same capabilities exercised within 4D Write Pro. And then a showcase smart expense reporting with AI. That's where you're effectively able to take a picture of a receipt and have the image analyzed and all of the applicable information drawn into say a JSON result that you can then process into your system. Um, just a lot of really great real world examples of how these new AI features can be used within our applications, and especially with I forget which one it was. I think it was the Discover the Power of 4D Vectors, but within one of those is a very good dive into the math that is used for calculating the vector similarities. It's not just, are these the same? There's actual fancy math stuff behind it. So there's a variety of different ways to calculate similarity, which are good to use and they talk about the different scenarios where you would use each type of comparison. And then again, there's too many articles to talk about all of them, but going by theme here, the next theme would be new features within Orda and data classes. We have the new feature, I think it's in R10. I think most of this is R10, 20 R10. getting started with the entity constructor. You can now have a constructor on a data class entity class. Sure, I'm saying that kind of wrong, but say if you're creating a new entity, a new record per se, you can have a certain amount of, you can have logic that fires to say, all right, I'm creating a new entity, initialize this entity with things like timestamps or the current user or other things that you do with records, which is awfully nice. And then we have getting started with the touched event, which is also cool. So anytime you can have it at the field, the attribute level, where if an attribute gets touched, then at that very moment, instead of in, say, a trigger, you can sort of front load some of the logic that would happen for a what might have otherwise been a calculated attribute. You can perform that logic the moment that it gets touched, and it's neat because you can actually see it happen in the interface if you have those other calculated attributes shown in an interface. So yeah, that's a very handy new feature. And there's also another blog article I didn't list about that goes into a deep dive into where that logic happens if you're in a client server environment or with the rest, depending on how you're using 4D, what the network traffic looks like. So very interesting features and articles. And right, stricter class-based typing for objects. One of the most interesting aspects of this article is the the ability we already have, object type attribute fields. Now you can actually declare that those objects are of a certain class type, which is kind of huge. And I think that this is a big step in the direction of using vectors, because a vector is a class, in your data structure and indexing those vectors for search. It's just a big deal. And I think we've all started using objects within our data structure. This is a really interesting thing to wrap your head around about how it's not just any random object content that would go into the field. The field itself will recognize its own instance type, its own object type, its own class, which is going to have a lot of repercussions downstream. I think that's a huge thing. Also, just marching in the direction of adapting all of the 4D libraries of logic to classes. We have similar to TCP class that we've seen earlier. We now have a UDP communications class for controlling all aspects of UDP communications. And finally, on this list anyways, but not in the blog, we have an article on managing calendar events with Microsoft 365 or Google. So that covers the majority of calendar events out there in 4D for CRUD type activity, create, update, delete. Yeah, so if you have any existing logic that could use a refresh for working with calendar events or are looking to, like us at the museum, we have a lot of events for shipments or exhibitions, all kinds of different calendar related events and data at the museum for activities, and you're looking to integrate that with calendars and share those calendars with users and control that information from programmatically from your application. This is all good stuff. So, right on to the next thing here. We've got Ad to talk a little bit about some recent tech notes that have come out over the summer. Again, just a lot of terrific content. They're like white papers. You could hardly pay somebody to write these for you, but 4D keeps them coming in the knowledge base. So I'm gonna hand it over to Ad now.
Thanks, Brent. Hi, everybody. And for this time around, I'm going to do the usual introduction of the knowledge base, specifically techno section. So it has a wealth knowledge in that particular section on the knowledge base. We try to produce as many articles as possible throughout the year. At the moment, we are delivering one tech note per month, and usually we get inspiration from everywhere in terms of development, working with customers or new technology. We're trying to push out the most effective way to use 4D features, as well as introduce many possibility in terms of how you would integrate and use our feature effectively. So the last 2 months, we produced two tech notes that I thought to be very useful for many of you. The first one is the automating build and development processes with 4D, build 4D components. So this is a component that has been around quite some times. Now, myself included, we write code, we build something, and we have to be able to deliver effectively. And sometimes we adopt our own process. And in the way, we get it to work, but our team was able to create a component that allows you to streamline your process, especially is really promoting CI and CD process in your development and delivery. And this is something that I find it to be quite useful for not just for experienced developer, but any new developer who wants to start building something in 4D, because it gives you from A to Z, giving you many options to build not only a built application, but component, compile application, or a merge application. So it's a good introduction. Unfortunately, this tech note is specific for Windows focus. We are going to produce another one that really add on to this tech note to help with Mac development as well. So stay tuned. There'll be another one coming out real soon. Okay, but have a look. I'm sure if you are doing 4D work, this component is going to help you in some way. Now, the next tech note, and this is kind of something that we used to do a lot, which is the integration with other software, third-party software or other services out there. For this particular tech note is really focusing on Notion, which is some sort of a web platform that allows you to have an application as well as a database that you want to build. Now, the integration with 4D and Notion is done via HTTP feature in 4D. It's going to focus on CRUD, which is pretty basic. Allows you to do a create, read, update, and delete. So those are the basic idea behind this tech note, just to give you a first step in the door in terms of doing any kind of work with Notion. And the inspiration, again, it comes from one of our projects that our team in overseas worked on. The requirement is to be able to integrate 4D with Notion platform. So we took that idea and were able to kind of produce a tech note, and the result is quite nice. And hopefully anyone else who's looking to do the same type of integration can take advantage of this tech note. Okay, and yeah, stay tuned for more. We have many tech note topic lined up, and we'll try to push out As soon as we have one available, usually we try to aim for towards the end of the month because of the availability and the timeline of everything else. But yeah, looking forward to get your feedback as well on the forum. Every time when we have a tech note, we will post one on a forum. But if you have any feedback, yeah, we'll definitely take that and we'll pass it on to the author of the tech note and hopefully that person will be able to interact with you directly on the forum for discuss as well. That's it from me, Brent.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks, Ed. Yeah, it's always really good content on there, and it's very applicable to today's projects and whatnot, from integration to with the Notion library or Notion platform to the continuous development and whatnot. So always great content there. But yeah, so now on to our main feature here. I am really excited about this one. We have Koichi Harada here from Tokyo, Japan. Thanks for speaking, given such a big time zone difference. Koichi has 27 years of experience developing 4D applications, many of those years as 4D Japan staff in charge of localization and document translation. Some of his past 4D projects include, and this is pretty wild, blood test reporting systems, stock trading system, magazine publishing systems, a nuclear fuel management system. So, if you guys have any nuclear fuel management necessities, this is who to reach out to. Currently, he's self-employed as a computer software developer for 4D and web apps and is working on a medical record system for animal hospitals, zoos, and aquariums. So many interesting projects, but today he is here to share a few open source components that I think you will find very interesting and, best of all, very useful. I have been looking for a nice cron module for years, literally years. I've invented the wheel myself a few times over and ran into hiccups, and sometimes there's a, as they say, a devil in the details of these kind of things. And this is just a really good one that works out of the box, and it's modern, and we're going to get to take a look at it today. So welcome, Koichi, and thanks again.
Thank you, Brent. Is my voice good?
Yes, can hear you
Okay.
fine.
Okay. So, hello, everyone. I'm Koichi Harada, and today I'm going to talk about the Cron component. But first, I will introduce two other components. I will tell you what each one was designed to solve and the extra features they have to make things easier for me. So now I show you the slide.
Go ahead. Yep, there you go.
Okay. So I switch the screen to the slide. If you do not see the slide, please tell me.
We are all good. Thank you.
So first is the progress component. The progress component is used to display progress dialogues. As you know, there's already a 4D progress component, but I've made a wrapper around it. Basically, my component does is the 4D progress component does. So what are the advantages of creating this component again? I'm trying to solve an issue like the following. When using 4D progress component, progress ID is the identifier, and it's usually stored in local variable. But there are times when I want to access the progress dialog outside the scope of the local variable. For instance, let's say I have a method that breaks down a long process into sub-methods. and calls them from the parent method. I wanted to show the progress state in both the parent method and the child method. I could have added and removed progress dialogues for each task, but I didn't want to do that because the dialogues appearing and disappearing would distract the user. So I wanted the parent method to show the progress dialog and update the content within the sub-method. The image at the top shows a familiar progress dialog. The code displaying the dialog is shown in the image below. When creating an object using the new function, a string is passed, in this case loop. This string acts as the key, just like the name of a specific progress dialog. When creating a progress dialog object using the new function, any progress dialog object with the same name will refer to the same progress dialog, whether inside the sub-method or even in a different process. If a progress dialog with the same name already exists, content update will go to that dialog. If no such dialog exists, a new progress dialog will be launched. Next, let's look at the set progress function inside the for loop. It takes an object as an argument, specifying the title and counter and message attribute. Let's focus on message. It contains counter n and time remaining enclosed in parentheses after the dollar sign. As you might expect, counter and end will be replaced with the attribute values. Then there's time remaining. This calculates and displays the remaining time until the process ends, based on counter and end, along with the time elapsed since the process started. This is the progress component. Next, I'll show you the HTTP server component. I made this component to make it easier to create web apps using the 4D HTTP server. The tricky part was the following. When creating web applications, there are different URL paths that are valid before authentication and after authentication. In the case of close, you first write the condition for paths that don't require authentication. Then the condition that checks authentication. But you can't write the condition for paths that require authentication at the same level. That's because for this case of close stops testing after it finds a match. So you have to nest case of closes. I thought these are a bit complex. So I decided to develop a component to describe routing in a more compact way. This component lets you specify not only path, but also HTTP verb, like get or post. And guess what? It doesn't use the case of close. It doesn't use the case of close. I'll give you the details on the next slide. And one thing I wanted to mention, you might have noticed that for this web server also has routing based on the path and HTTP verb called HTTP request handler in version 20R8. There are a few differences compared to what this component supports, but I'm still using this component for now because of those differences. And to make this component even more convenient, there are additional features. While there are many additions, this time I'll introduce parsing request data. I will cover this in a later slide. This slide shows how to define routing. This method is written in database method like on startup or on server startup, not on web connection. The routing defined here is registered in the routing table of the component. I don't talk too much here, but just mention some points. One route is identified by combination of HTTP verb and path. When a request is received, this table is searched to create a list of formula that matches the path and verb. These are then executed sequentially. Then there is use, which receives only the formula without specifying a path. This means it matches all requests. So this formula will always be called unless processing ends before it. As you can see, this is a good place to test authentication. There is a test path here. The key point here is the path is followed by a colon and a test ID. The test ID is a variable name. I'll explain the meaning of this colon plus variable name notation later. This slide shows an example of request handler method. The key point here, received data via the post method are stored in the body attribute of the request object. When the verb is get, the post data is stored in the query attribute of the request object. The component takes care of passing this data automatically. And there are functions to construct and return a response. Not only send and status as shown in here, but also attachment, cookie, redirect, render, and so on. The top image shows part of the code that checks if a user is logged in. If logged in, it calls the next object. The next object stores the formula to run next. If not logged in, redirect function to take user to the sign-in page. In this case, the next formula isn't called, and processing for this request ends here. The bottom image shows how to extract data from the path. Earlier, when building the router table, I showed writing variable names after the column. Here it's test ID. This tells the component that the value changes with each request and needs to be referenced later. The component then stores this variable in the params attribute of the request object. This is the HTTP server component. Then let's dive into the Cron component. Just like the other two, I'll explain why it was created and what it does. I'll also show you how it works and share its source code. The Cron component lets you run specific method at regular intervals. In 4D, the first thing that comes to mind is using an infinite loop with the delay process command. This works for simple tasks like every few seconds or minutes. But if you want to run a task at a fixed time on a fixed day, you need to use a delay process for a few seconds, check if it's time, and then do another delay process to get ready for the next iteration. This isn't too hard, but it's a pain to repeat the same thing for each task with different execution times. And what if the process crashes in the middle? If the main process is an infinite loop A crash means the next iteration won't run. So you need a monitoring process to check if the main process is still running and restart it if it isn't. This kind of processing is way off from the main business logic. We don't want to waste our time on it. That's where components come in. By creating a component that handles monitoring recurring tasks and managing restart timing, we can focus on the core work. That's why I developed the Cron component. And I will show you the variety of interval configuration this component supports. So now let's examine the Cron component operations and source code. This dialog displays a list of processes executed at various specified intervals. This is the list of intervals. 3,600 means every 3,600 seconds or every hour. It started at 6:10 p.m., then went up 7:10 p.m., 20:10 p.m., and so on. At 19 means the process to run daily at 7 p.m. It executes at 7 p.m. On September 7th and September 8th and September 9th and so on. Every 1,800 seconds is 30 minutes. Every 2 hours means every 2 hours, and every 60 minutes means every hour. Every Sunday at 19 in this example, it was last triggered on September 14th at 7 p.m. And next scheduled execution time is September 21st, 7 p.m. And by the way, this every Sunday at 7 p.m. is a new feature. On the seventh day at 7 p.m. means it runs at 7 p.m. on the seventh day of every month. Then next scheduled run is October 7th at 7 p.m. So you can specify intervals like the ones just shown. Let's see what kind of processes have been registered. Name and interval are values specified when registering a process. The name serves as a key to identify the process and is also used as the name of the worker process that executes it. Additionally, each process has a next attribute. This attribute stores date and time information indicating when this process should be executed next time. Let's examine the code to see how these work. This is an example of code you write using this component. First, it gets the cron object. Since the cron class is a shared singleton, you can call it using me. The clone class job is to manage the list of processes that should be executed. Here, the list of tasks to register is stored in a collection. The information needed is the name of the task, which is also the name of the worker process, the formula describing the task's content, and the value that specifies the execution interval. Inside the for each loop, a daemon object is created and registered to the clone object. The daemon class stores the task's content, which are name, formula, and interval. Here, setting set interval to 5 here means clone checks the registered daemon list every 5 seconds. If a task's scheduled time comes up, it executes the formula. You can set any number of seconds, but if it's too short, it checks the list too often. And if it's too long, it delays the daemon execution by up to the maximum set second. Finally, the start function starts the daemon's periodic execution. There's also a stop function to stop this process. So here, I set the daemon method as a formula to the daemon object. So let's see the daemon method. Please note that this method doesn't have any loops. Comparing the current time with the scheduled execution time and calling the formula is the component's job. Now, let's say you have a method without a loop that gets called repeatedly. How would you pass information like a loop counter to the next method calls? Well, a single daemon object is called repeatedly inside a dedicated worker process. So things like process variables, the current selection, and the current record are kept. Also, referring to the 4D command this inside the daemon formula points to the daemon object itself. Developers can register values to this object whenever they want. Next, let's examine the source code of the cron component. This is the daemon class. It keeps track of information like what tasks to be processed and when they should be run again. And then there's a special function called calc next launch time, which is really important in this object. It figures out when the next daemon job should be run. It takes the interval values that you gave it and calculates the next date and time based on the current date and time. Here, using regex and based on the past intervals, this function calculates the next launch time here. And this is Cron class, which takes care of the list of tasks to be executed. It's a shared singleton class. When the Cron component was first created, it was just a regular class, and the data that needed to be shared between processes was stored in storage. Storage is like a container that allows data to be shared between different processes, but always have to use the use and use clause to use it. Using a shared singleton class makes the code much simpler. When you add the shared keyword to a function, it automatically applies the use and use clause during its execution. This makes the code easier to read. But there are a few things to keep in mind. When you use the use and use clause, you can control its scope. For function marked with the shared keyword, the scope is from the start of the function to the end of it. So, while a shared function is running, other processes can't change its object. But shared function can also be used to group operations like a semaphore. If you use them carefully, they can make your code much more readable. Here, the stat function calls the worker process to run daemon manager method. So let's see the daemon manager method. A daemon manager method checks the daemon list regularly and calls the formula registered with daemon object whose scheduled execution time has come up. And also, this handles cases where the daemon method crashes halfway. It gets the list of currently running processes and checks if any processes with daemon name exist. If none exist, it starts one. When it called a worker for a daemon executor method is passed as the formula name here instead of daemon formula itself. The daemon executor method is responsible for invoking daemon formulas within a worker process. First, the executing flag of the daemon object is set to true. This is to avoid duplicate call to daemon formula. Once the method execution is complete, update the next scheduled execution time and reset the execution flag to false. This was an explanation of the Cron component code. Finally, I will mention an important OS setting to note. Here is the list of processes that ran over the week, as we saw earlier. The far right column gap shows the difference between the scheduled time and the actual time they launched. Most of them are within 5 seconds because the interval for checking the daemon list is set to 5 seconds. But there are some rows with pink background. Their gap ranges from 30 seconds to 40 minutes. Looking at the times, the big gaps happened in the middle of the night on September 8th. At that time, the PC was asleep. If you didn't know this situation, you might not have noticed those gaps. Since then, there haven't been any big gaps. That's because I turned on a setting in macOS system preference energy setting that prevents the computer from automatically sleeping when the display is off. That's all for the demo of the Cron component. Well, I introduced 3 components: Progress, HTTP server, and Cron. They are open source and available on GitHub. Please feel free to fetch and use them. Thanks for your attention. Now I'll hand control back to Brent. Thank you.
Thank you, Koichi. I think the style of your coding is very elegant, and it's nice to see you exercising the some of the new language features for the cron component, and as well for things like the HTTP server, where you can start the server, a specific server from a component, and that kind of thing. And I would like to see a another demo one day, perhaps, of an application written using something like the HTTP server component. Let's see. Oh, yeah,
Thank you.
can the GitHub links get dropped in the chat? Sure. There at least the cron component link should be on the 4DMethod post. Um, yeah, if nothing else, if somehow everyone doesn't have a use for a cron component like this, if nothing else, it's a great example of how to do the shared singletons, how to use worker processes, and certainly you know ex integrating using classes within your code. Um, if there's anybody that has any questions, certainly pop them into the chat. But the one of the best things about certainly the cron component is despite what Koichi showed you under the hood, in the code of the component, it's extremely simple to introduce the component into your own application and not have to worry about any of the actual scheduling logic, which can be a bit have some pitfalls, have some easy ways for it to get off of its schedule. Koichi, is the monitoring window that you showed, is that also part of the component? Can you bring up a cron monitor uh, via the component?
Sorry, this or another screen?
Oh, well, that's good. I think we have a link in the chat for already for all of your repositories on GitHub, but I appreciate that. No, I was referring to the list box monitor of the right, that one. Is that available or is that just part of the demo to explain how things how things have been running? Does this dialogue, can you launch this dialogue through the component, or is it really just part of the demo?
Uh, this is the demo database named test cron.
Okay.
The Cron component is installed in the test cron
Okay.
application.
Thank you. Yeah. No,
Is that a question?
yeah, no, it's very nice. I've been thinking about making it the same kind of a list box dialogue to monitor our cron process at the museum, and it's nice to see the features that you have here, when it was supposed to run, the schedule, when it was actually run, the gap between the intended time. That's a really handy dialogue for monitoring the cron activity. And so that's nice to see.
And this test cron application is included in the cron component GitHub.
Nice, nice.
I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
I looked on your GitHub site, and there is a component. There's something on GitHub called widget, and when you look at widget, it's uses the progress component. So, what's this widget thing? Is that involved in any of this, or is that something separate that you use with the progress component that you've built?
Sorry, I don't get your question. Can you help, Brent?
Yeah.
On your GitHub page, you've got the cron project, the progress project, and then you also have widget.
Oh, it's another repository is widget.
Yeah.
Widget.
And when you look inside
UI
widget, it tells you to go.
widget repository. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, that's a good question. I take the progress part from the widget component and create a progress component. Before the progress component was a part of the widget component.
Okay. So he extracted the code for the progress component from the widget component.
Yes.
So you don't need widget to
Yeah.
do what we saw today. You don't need widget.
No, it doesn't sound like it. It was a part of the widget component, the widget repository.
Do we need to download? Do we need to download widget to make this stuff work or not?
No,
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, I think that each of the components, the cron, the progress, the only thing the progress component needs, I believe, is the 4D progress component, because it's a wrapper around the 4D progress component, which you should be able to use the new component dependencies management to control, making sure that both of those components are available. The dependencies, managing the dependencies with components is very nice, actually.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I thought UI widget components are too big. I decided to extract the progress component only, and I want each component makes smaller.
Right.
Okay.
And simpler. So that's why I extract the progress from the UI widget component, and I will remove the progress part from the UI widget component.
Okay, because when you look at the documentation, it talks about cs.widget.progress, and it's
Right,
always referencing the cs.widget. But now I understand. We
right.
don't need that anymore. So you
Mhm.
made it clear.
Yeah. Any other questions about any of the components, really? I mean, I think there's a lot to unpack there, and I just I have used the cron component in a project running in an older version of the cron component in a project running in version 19, and boy, with like 3 lines almost, it solved some considerable issues for me, and it opened up a whole bunch of ideas for handling things like, if there's any kind of data checks or regular exports that you might need to run. I mean, anything that we all do in our applications. Um, and if you've written one of these cron components or a scheduler or just a process that loops, sometimes you run into times. You'd be amazed how much time floats around a little bit in a virtual machine, and it's a headache to deal with it. So it's nice to just have a fresh look and a nice modern approach that's easily popped into your own project to use for this kind of capability. Any other questions? Otherwise, I know it's late for Koichi, and I'm gonna let him off the hook because that was a nice. I know we all appreciate a good quick demo, and we do have as usual, a dedicated page on the forum for this meeting and for the demo. I can't say it enough how much I appreciate Koichi sharing his component and his code, and how well done the code is. It really is a good example on uh, modern 4D development, if nothing else, and it's like I said, extremely useful right out of the box without knowing too much about it. So thank you again, Koichi. Just gonna kick back over to my slides. Let's see. Share my screen. One moment. And yeah, so if there isn't any other questions, let me try some Japanese. Shitsumon ga arimasu ka? Terrible, I'm sure, but Koichi is very available on the 4D forum, discuss.4d.com. You can find the link to that discussion page on 4dmethod.com for this meeting. Otherwise, thanks so much to everyone at 4D and everybody here for participating. Always great content, great discussion. Feedback is always appreciated. Throw me some ideas on how to make it better, and we'll work to do that. Otherwise, we can always use a little support for the time necessary for preparing this stuff to help keep it coming. You can check out our Patreon page. Yeah, 3:30 a.m. for Koichi, so I really appreciate your making yourself available. And yes, okay. All right. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you next time. Mm, Getting there. Why do they keep on on moving these controls. All right.
I think I'm going to get his progress component and start